Most non-technical founders are using AI like a slightly smarter Google. Write this email, summarize this document, clean up these notes, and that's where it really stops. Meanwhile, there's a small group of founders who cannot code either, and they're building AI agents that run their operations while they sleep and shipping AI products that customers actually pay for. The difference between those two groups is not talent, and it's not a computer science degree either. It's not money. It is 8 skills learned in a specific order. Today, I'm going to show you that exact roadmap, where to start, what to learn next, how long each piece of content takes, and the one tool to use for each. No code, no fluff, just the path in order. For you who don't know me, I on average run 17 AI agents in production right now on a Mac Studio sitting in my house. Not tutorials I built from a video, actual systems that handle departments like research, scheduling, content, security. The list goes on. Then this happens every single day. I'm a builder showing you the map I wish someone had handed me 3 years ago. And here's how it works. 8 skills grouped into 3 phases. Each skill builds on the one before it. For every single one, I will tell you what it is, why it matters, roughly how long it takes, the exact protocol, and the exact tool to start with. By the end of this video, you'll know precisely where you are on this roadmap and exactly what your next move should be.
Hey, I'm Johnny Nel. I spent years building businesses the old hard way, managing teams, scaling operations, and doing everything manually. Today, everything I built, from automations and no-code infrastructures to fully AI SaaS products, has AI helping in one way or another.
Firstly, let me quickly show you this. In South Africa, we call this a braai.
I build with AI tools that, in my opinion, anyone can learn to use. My mission is simple: to help creators, entrepreneurs, and business owners get clarity with AI. Let's build smarter together and enjoy this video.
Here's what's actually happening right now in the AI space and why the timing is significantly important. 58% of small businesses say they are using AI. A year ago, that number was 40%. So the adoption is exploding, but the number that nobody talks about is when you measure real AI usage, AI actually built into the business operations, not just the occasional chats. Only 18% of companies have done it. That gap between the people who use AI and the tiny group who have actually built something with it, that gap is the entire opportunity. And the awesome thing is the market is already paying for it. Jobs that require AI skills carry a 56% wage premium. I went through all of that in my previous video. I'll link it somewhere on the screen above. In the industries most exposed to AI, productivity has nearly quadrupled in just a few years. And you don't need to hire engineers to get in on this anymore. Gartner expects 75% of new apps to be built with no-code and low-code tools by the end of this year. And around 80% of that building done by people who have never worked in IT. So let me say this as plainly as I can. Non-technical does not mean non-builder. The tools exist now. They are generally good now. The only thing standing between you and the 18% is knowing what to learn and in what order. So let's get into it. How to use this roadmap. 2 quick rules before the skills. First, go in order. The sequence is extremely important. Each skill is a prerequisite for the next one. You cannot ground an agent in your data if you cannot write a clear prompt. You cannot ship a product before you can automate a workflow. The order is the whole point of this video. And secondly, and this is the rule that should actually save you, is for your first month, only do the skills 1 to 3. Ignore everything else. Ignore every shiny tool, every new model launch, every piece of AI news in your feed right now. The reason most founders get nowhere with AI is that they try to swallow all of it at once and they drown. You are not going to do that. You are going to go one skill at a time. So let's jump into phase 1, foundation. The first skill we'll be looking at is prompting and context engineering. This is not just about asking better questions. The real skill is context engineering, which means controlling what the AI actually sees. The instructions, the examples, the documents, the background you give it before it answers. Anthropic, the company behind Claude, literally calls context engineering the natural next step beyond prompting. The job title prompt engineering is dying. Postings for it collapsed over the last year, but prompting as a skill has gone the other way. It has become universal. It is the single fastest growing skill on LinkedIn. So do not chase it as a job. Treat it as the floor, the thing every other skill stands on. The tool is simple. ChatGPT or Claude plus one document where you save the prompt that you actually already used and that worked, so you stop reinventing them every single morning. Heck, if everything is so available at the disposal, just build yourself a Chrome extension that you can just save your prompts in there. So every single time you need to add a prompt, you can just click on the extension and it will be able to help you with it. Picture two founders for a second. One builds a single clear customer reply prompt once and reuses it 100 times. The other types, help me answer this from scratch every single day. Same tool, completely different business. Once you can talk to AI properly, your next move is to stop retyping and make it permanent and efficient. Let's look at skill 2, persistent AI assistance. This is where you stop having once-off conversations and start building reusable assistants. There's an AI workspace with your instructions baked right in, so you never set the context again. This is your first real taste of building instead of chatting. Pick one tool and do not collect them all. Claude Projects is the cleanest if you work with documents. Custom GPTs are fine. There are around 3 million of them already. Gemini has its own version, but for most founders, start with Claude Projects. And the reason why I'm suggesting that is because with Claude, it's easy to progress. It's easy to go from understanding projects to understanding skills to work with Claude Cowork and then move into Claude Code. Build yourself a brand voice assistant loaded with your tone, your offer, and your most common questions so that everything it writes already sounds like you instead of sounding like a robot. It is smart now, but it still only knows what it was trained on. So next, we feed it into your actual business. See this as being similar to a corporate wiki, a hub where everything is centralized, where you can always just go and retrieve any information that's needed, as well as for your team. Bonus nugget, store everything in GitHub. Ensure that GitHub becomes your centralized database and you can pull everything from there, as well as your team members with their own Claude subscriptions. Or if you have Claude for Teams, they could pull it from there as well. Now, let's move over to skill number 3, RAG or knowledge bases. And I know RAG sounds technical. For you, it is not. It simply means grounding the AI in your own documents, so it answers from your data instead of the open internet. People in the field call this the most practical AI skill right now, and for good reason. It is the thing that makes AI useful for your specific business instead of generic. 2 things to get straight. You do not build RAG yourself, and you do not need fine-tuning. In fact, forget the fine-tuning even exists. It is almost never the right answer and never the answer for a non-developer. You just use a tool that does the grounding for you. Google's Notebook LM is the friendliest place to start, and a knowledge feature built into Claude Projects is really good as well. But if you are in the Google ecosystem, you can just utilize Gemini and pull away from Notebook LM. So instead of using GitHub as an example, you can just have it stored inside of Notebook LM and then pull it from Gemini and communicate with it. Extremely beneficial. Imagine a sales assistant that has actually read your pricing, your case studies, and your best objection responses versus one running on whatever it picked up on training. The difference is night and day. Now your AI knows your business. The next step is letting it reach into your actual tool. Now if you run agents locally, you can have a fantastic RAG infrastructure running locally, secure and safe, with very small models and very awesome repos and very intricate specific repo that could help to chunk the information in such an efficient way that you can run that on a MacBook Air. If you want to have access to those repos, other templates, SOPs, and so much more, I invite you to accept your invitation to the AI Founders Vault. I dropped the link down in the description. So let's move over to phase 2. Skill 4, connecting AI to your tools. This is where AI stops being a clever notepad and starts touching your real world. Your Gmail, your Drive, your Slack, your calendar, etc. The technology behind this is called MCP, which Anthropic released at the end of 2024, and which OpenAI, Google, and Microsoft have all since adopted, and so many other platforms out there as well. Think of it as a universal adapter for AI. Now, let's just be clear about the scope here, because I don't want you to start wasting a weekend on the wrong thing and configuring it the wrong way. You are not going to build these connections from scratch. That is generally developer work. You switch on connectors that already exist. Understand the idea, then just use the connectors. Suddenly you can say, look at my unread investor emails from today and draft replies, and it actually does it against your real inbox. Connected AI that does one thing on command is useful, but AI that runs an entire workflow on its own, that's the real jump. Skill number 5, no code automation. This is the bridge from AI helps me to AI does the work for me. Automation is exactly just that. When this happens, do that, then have AI do the next thing, all running without you touching it. I would say start with Zapier if you're used to it. Some people use make.com, but I would say even use Claude Code to assist with this if you are using Claude Code. But if you're using Zapier, still fine. Zapier connects to over 9,000 apps and can now build build the automation for you when you just describe it in plain English. When you want more control and a visual map of everything, then I would say go to Make. There's a more powerful one called N8N, a bit outdated in my opinion, but it leans a bit more on the technical front. So I would say leave that for later if you're just starting out. Let's look at a real example. Simple version first. A new lead comes in and AI labels it. Now, the full version, a new lead comes in, AI qualifies it, checks if they're a good fit, books the call straight into your calendar, and sends them a personalized prep document with 0 manual steps from you. That is hours a week gone and handled. You have now automated fixed rules. But what about work that does not follow fixed rules? That is the next skill, and it's the one you've been waiting for. Trust me. Everything I'm giving you here, the skills, the order to learn them, all the exact templates, the automations built click by click, and a room full of founders building this stuff alongside you. Again, that lives inside of the AI Founders Vault. The link is in the description. Now moving over to skill number 6, building AI agent. This is the one everyone wants, and now you're actually ready for it. An agent is not a chatbot. A chatbot answers a question, an agent reasons, makes a decision, picks its own tools, and finishes a multi-step task on its own. Andrew Ng, one of the most respected names in the whole field, calls agentic workflows one of the most valuable skills in AI today. And here's the good news, you already have the pieces from skills 3, 4, and 5. The tools built right on top of what you just learned. Make has AI agents now, Zapier has agents, and there's a clean no-code option called Lindy where agents can even hand off work to each other like a little team. Heck, ClickUp also does that very well. I would suggest focusing on Claude Code though, but if you are familiar with these platforms, moving from the traditional way of doing things into the AI era, they have adapted. But if you're a solo founder, a solo builder looking to just jump straight in, go to Claude Code. No restrictions, no government shutting your AI down, all on your local device, ready at any time. Here's an example of what this all looks like. You build yourself a morning briefing agent. It checks your calendar, your inbox, and the news and sends you one single clean message. Instead of you opening 4 different apps and losing the roughly 4 hours a week, you have all of that done at your fingertips. Research is saying that we burn roughly 4 hours a week just switching between the tools. You can now make AI do the real work. The last building skill is making AI you can actually sell. And that moves us over to phase 3, shipping. Let's look at skill 7, shipping AI apps. This is the big one. Building a real working app just by describing what you want in plain English. Or building real marketing agents that runs your ads, your creative, the copy, your podcast. The list goes on in plain English. There was back in the day, and there's a name for it, they call it vibe marketing. But I want to focus on vibe coding because it was coined in early 2025. And it became the Collins Dictionary's word of the year. This is not a toy trend. At Y Combinator, the most famous startup accelerator in the world, a quarter of the most recent batch had code bases that almost entirely written by AI. And also when you look at all the startups getting funded, they're usually vibe coded. Still in the SaaS space. Now, SaaS is becoming a commodity, in my opinion, but it doesn't remove the fact that there's still an immense opportunity to find gaps within marketplaces and build solutions for it. For non-technical founders, the standout tool is Replit. It was literally built for us. It has hundreds of thousands of paying customers, and at the end of 25, it raised and continuously raises significant funding. It truly is an exceptional tool. By the way, I got a link for you for that inside of the description below, but it builds your app and puts it on a live link that you can share. And this is not a sponsored video by Replit. I'm just sharing with you my experience. But there's other tools as well, like Bubble. Bubble can spin up a working first version in minutes, great for MVPing, and there are already over 7 million apps built on it. One area I would skip right now is building with Cursor. I do believe Cursor is very helpful for a bit more technical, proficient positionings, like actual developers. Not necessarily the right fit for us right now as non-technical founders. But I'm not saying that you can't do it. I would rather focus more then on going to Claude Code, and then from Claude Code, storing all of your repositories in GitHub and pulling those repositories from GitHub to Replit, hosting your app on Replit, and scaling it from there using Replit agents. Let's take that lead workflow from skill 5 and turn it into a real app your customers log into and could potentially pay for. Now, you can ship, but how do you actually know? That brings me to skill number 8, AI Evals. This is the one skill almost nobody is teaching, and it's being called the most important skill for builders this year. Evals just means whether your AI is actually producing good output instead of eyeballing 2 examples and you just crossing your fingers. You define what good looks like, you hunt for where it fails, and you can even use AI to grade AI. And none of it requires code. Start with a simple spreadsheet. 10 test cases your support agent has to pass before you let it anywhere near a paying customer. That discipline right there is what separates a demo that impresses your friends from a system that you can actually trust to run your business. One honest note on the order though is most of this roadmap is a strict ladder. Climate in sequence. What we've seen through the research is that one place smart people genuinely disagree is whether to build agents or ship apps first. Right now in this era that we are in, I would say put agents first because they grow naturally out of automation. Some people flip those two. Either way is fine. Just do not skip the foundation underneath them. And the skill that nobody in this space is really teaching, and it's the one that protects everything else you just built, is AI risk and governance. Let me tell you two quick stories. End of 2023, a Chevrolet dealership put an AI chatbot on its website. Someone typed in a few clever prompt injections, which is just clever instructions, and got the bot to agree in writing to sell a brand new Chevy Tahoe for $1. They never honored it, obviously, but that is exactly what happens when you give AI authority and no guardrails. Now, a bigger one. A founder named Matthew Gallagher built a telehealth business with about $20,000 and a stack of AI tools. It scaled to around $100 million in sales. Genuinely incredible. And then in early 2026, the FDA sent him a warning letter because a lot of his ads used AI-generated doctor identities that were just not real people. AI allowed him to scale fast, and that included scaling his mistakes too. Growth without governance is not growth. It's a liability with a timer on it. Do not forget that. Now, you do not need to become a lawyer. You just need to know. Depending on where you stay, if you're in the US, look at the AI Act that's recently incorporated there too. Generally speaking, what you can see from all of these different policies, there are 4 risk levels that they all have in common. And the good news about 80% of the AI users sits safely on the lowest one. You just need to know which level yours is in. Built with a simple governance checklist from day one. And please do not see it as a break on your business. It's a moat around it. So there it is. The whole roadmap, 8 skills, 3 phases that you can actually put in practice. Start with skill 1 this week. Heck, even today if you can. If you want the templates, the exact builds, a community of founders walking the same path as you, the AI Founders Vault link is in the description below. And drop a comment down below and tell me which skill number you are starting on right now. Subscribe if you call to it, and I'll see you in the next one.